everyone, this is Matt from DrawingTutorialsOnline.com. Welcome to the November 21st video critique, chapter number 1. All right, let's get started with this one, Random Model. And this one was posted up by Cara. Cara, I already checked out your artwork. I think it looks pretty good. Hi Matt, I chose this portrait because of the darker shade, and it was difficult to draw the right side of her face as it was in such stark shadow. And you basically, what you're saying is you couldn't see the details on the photo reference. This was great practice for matching values. I know the right eye is a bit off. What other recommendations do you have for me to work on? Cara. Okay. Cara, I took the liberties of bringing this into Photoshop before we started the critique, and I think much improved in the value department, much improved in picking the right reference with some actual shadow shapes on it to draw from. I think this is much improved. So what have we been talking about so far? We've been really talking a lot over the past weeks with your critiques about matching values, picking the right reference. Much better. We've also been talking about measurements, like, hey, when I look at the edge of her eye over here, what's the distance from the edge of her eye to the edge of her face? We've been talking about that. Okay, fine, I see that's off. And you just have to do your due diligence with the measurements. It's something that you have to constantly do. Like, what's the measurement from here to here? But let's talk about something a little bit different on this critique, because I think you're getting in the idea of the proper reference to use. This is good reference. It's not the best reference, but it's much better than what you've been using. You're getting better at acknowledging that you've got to match values. So what's next? Well, when I look at your drawing, what is missing and what could bring your drawing to a higher level is just a little bit more of an understanding of form, and specifically on the head surface planes, okay? So let me show you what I'm talking about. So right over here, on each surface plane is going to have its own value. And right over here on the side of her head, her temple area of her skull, there's a surface plane over there that has a certain value. I don't see any of that over here. It's just a little bit more on the flat side. So you're not showing me that surface plane, and you're really not showing me this surface plane. So we kind of have another surface plane right over here, and that surface plane is one value darker than, say, this surface plane, which is more of a turning plane. Okay, so yeah, absolutely, you've got to think about surface planes, and I think that's going to help your drawings, because now you're understanding that you have to match values. Okay, and of course you can manipulate values, but right now your practice is to match them. So even if I look up over here, that value is a surface plane. And then we have another surface plane right over here. This actually is one big, you can call it a turning plane, you can call it a side plane. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's just another surface plane. That's another surface plane over there. Now, surface planes are this thing. If you draw them, they're not going to make your drawings look prettier. It's just you have to go through the exercise of trying to find surface planes. Now, you can do it in a simple way, or you can do it in a very complicated way, because ultimately, if you look at a painter like a John Singer Sargent, each one of his brushstrokes was a surface plane, and each brushstroke had a value to it. But it kind of goes on and it goes on and it goes on, but I just want you to find like the big ones, and I just want you to kind of be aware of it. So if we even come over here to her nose, there's a side plane of her nose, and then there's a little bit of the front plane, and then there's another side plane over here, and then the tip of her nose has an underplane that turns under, has another tilting underplane over here. And again, these go on in perpetuity. There's a gazillion surface planes, but you can just think that to make your life easier so it doesn't get too confusing, well, you know what? Maybe there's just the front plane of her nose, and then there's the side plane. You can think of it that way. You can also think of it as, okay, cool, this is going to be the front plane, basically, of her face, and then there's a side plane. Now, when you're lucky and you, sometimes it's luck and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you plan your portrait drawings for this, where you photograph your model and you photograph them with form light. And with form light, the surface plane shift and the light and shadow shift happen at the same place. And if that happens, well, then it's much easier to draw a portrait because the lighting and the shadow is already form light, and it's awesome. So that's what I want you to really look for. And you can go back to the original drawingtutorialsonline.com and you can go to the exercise surface planes and gradations in the original Begin Here Step-by-Step department and watch that tutorial. That's really going to help you. In a couple weeks, we're going to be adding the new surface planes tutorial in the at the new site. So yeah, definitely that's your next practice. I don't want to overtalk this. I can go on forever here. You have to remember that it's never really just surface planes. It's surface planes as well as organic form. But I like to teach in the critiques one thing at a time. So right now, we'll talk about organic form next week. Right now, just concern yourself with being aware of surface planes, okay? And then matching the value on each surface plane. And in most of the tutorials on drawingtutorialsonline.com, figure drawing a layered approach, portrait drawing a layered approach, we talk about surface planes in just about every one of those courses. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next one, live male model. All right, thanks so much for taking the time to watch that video critique. As you know, over at drawingtutorialsonline.com, we film a video critique every single week of members' artwork. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this feeling, but I know that I have had this feeling. You're working on your artwork and something doesn't feel right, and you just need somebody else's eyes to kind of bounce it off of. That's what this critique gallery is all about. It's just about uploading your artwork to our member critique gallery, getting a different set of eyes to look at it, and just getting a critique every single week or once every 2 weeks. It's really up to you. You don't even have to post every week. But yeah, this is what we do every week. We help our members out. If you're looking for some help on a weekly basis, definitely consider joining drawingtutorialsonline.com. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.